Hey, welcome to Unfuck Your Mind, where our conversations are real and the language is uncensored, mostly by me. Danielle hardly ever swears, but
Potty
I'll take the
mouth.
blunt of it. And the perspectives are unapologetically ours. Some of our episodes, this one might push your buttons a little bit, but some of our episodes might ruffle a few feathers, and that's okay. We're not here to preach or convert. We are just sharing our own messy, honest experiences in hopes that it helps someone feel a little less alone. So we invite you to take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And remember, your journey is yours, and we respect that. Also, we respect or also we request the same in return. So think about this for a moment. In just 1 year, your brain can grow new cells, rewire old thought patterns, and literally change its structure just by thinking differently. According to neuroscience, thanks to something called neuroplasticity, your brain is constantly reshaping itself based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and do. That means your thoughts today are physically sculpting your future brain. Basically, every time you repeat a positive habit or shift a toxic belief, you're out here doing brain surgery. I had real brain surgery, but with a scalpel. And this one is without a scalpel. So you're a damn neurologist in your own life. I mean, how brilliant is that? Truthfully. So if you can scroll on TikTok for 3 hours straight, you can definitely have the time to focus on change and change your life in 1 year. So perhaps a year ago, everything was different. If you reflect back, maybe you were in a job you hated, a relationship you outgrew, or maybe a mindset that felt heavy. Maybe you were surviving, not thriving. I think a lot of us can relate to that. But here's the thing: 365 days can change a person in ways they never saw coming. So today we're talking about the power of 1 year, how it's both a blink and a lifetime. I mean, how true is that? Think about
So
years past where it's just like, holy shit, that went quick. But then when you're in the year, it's like, damn, it's taking forever.
well
Anyways,
now
how tiny, well, I'll
go ahead.
just
What is
finish this quick. How tiny choices today become life changing shifts later. We'll explore what science says about transformation, and we'll ask the question that matters the most: what could your life look like a year from now if you started today? Good stuff.
I know the past year has been highly transformative for me. And really the past 3 years or so. Going on 4 years actually now. Um
Was it
now
fast or was it a blink? I mean, was it?
um I'm not sure how to answer that because they're the same thing. Anyway, um
You know what I mean? I don't know where that. I hate it when that happens. and, and it's like the words just come out and I know what I mean, but the words don't come out with what I mean. Anyways, was it like a lifetime or was it the blink of an eye? There we go. I got it right this time. But hey, it was a good laugh.
no, uh, that's a I don't know, to be honest. And I'm gonna tell you why. This is the
I like
interesting
that.
thing because one of the things that I learned about, in the realm of hypnosis and the mindset stuff along the process of this, which is a reoccurring theme that I kept hearing and really focused in on, it was about the power of now, about the power of staying present in the moment. And so, to answer your question, I started retraining my mind to focus more on what I'm currently doing instead of just even what has happened or what will happen, and think more short term than long term. Because one of the things that I noticed was that thinking too far long term would cause a lot of anxiety and stress and would cause a lot of
Yes.
inaction with me because I would get so overwhelmed by looking at too big of a picture. Not that I wouldn't visit that big picture every now and then, but thinking too big picture, I started noticing would get me in that place of overwhelm, which would always lead to procrastination for me. Because
I
I
think
don't
that's
think
common.
I don't
That's
think
common.
procrastination is the issue that most people have. Because I know we hear this a lot, but um, I think the idea of having too much stuff on your plate to try to do is what causes procrastination. Because then we get in this mindset of I got to do this, and this, and this, and then all of a sudden your mind's just like, okay, it's just too much shit. Let's just go scroll TikTok or go watch Netflix or just something else that's easy because your mind craves simplicity. It does. It's how you're wired. So if you can in the moment, if you can just focus on that simplicity in the moment of now, okay, this is what I need to get done right now, short term. Just maybe these one or two things are important. I've noticed for me that that keeps me out of that place of overwhelm and procrastinating. Now, look, I'm not 100% successful at this. I don't know anybody who is probably, but but for me, and I guess that's the reason why, and it would kind of give a little bit of that for my story of over this past year is that I've been very intentional about focusing short term on the moment of now.
Well, I just want to interject real quick.
Yep.
Scientifically proven. When you focus on the future, causes anxiety, just like what you shared. And when we focus on the past, causes depression. That's why that cheesy phrase that says the present is the present,
Yep.
right now is the gift. So, but I also want to include what you said was perfect and beautiful, that you do revisit your future goals. Like if 1 year from now you do have a goal, you every once in a while visit that, but then come back to the now because you want to stay in touch with the goal, but you don't want to think about every little tiny step you have to take to reach it because that will cause anxiety and procrastination and all those negative things because your mind's like trying to figure out how to do it all now. You're not supposed to.
Yeah, you don't want to live
So,
there.
no.
You want to visit there just to always keep it, you know, kind of back of mind that hey, this is where I'm heading. But if you start looking at all the thousands of steps you got to take to get to that big picture, you're going to shut down. I mean, it's damn near inevitable. You're going to
I
shut
used to
down.
I used to live that way.
Yeah, and I did too. That's the reason
And
why I struggle so much. Is
yeah.
I thought that's what you were supposed to do, right? And that's one of those things that not a lot of and I get it's probably good marketing, but you know, to be honest, I just don't like it because it's like no. Don't get so focused on the future that you forget the present.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's the decisions you make now that will get you there. Living there is not going to get you there. Kind of living there in your mind is not going to get you there. Making decisions now is what's going to get you there. So, but anyway, all that being said is I don't know how fast it was. I just know that I kept focusing on the moment of now. And I've gotten to a place, and I'll go a few different places with this. So, and you mentioned this about scrolling TikTok, which again, love TikTok, love the platform. But I started. So what I started doing was this is one of the things that you have to be careful about with that because it can be used as a very good tool. However, when you get those TikToks or Instagram reels or whatever it is, YouTube shorts, any of that stuff that give you that kind of dopamine hit of that feel good chemicals of like you hear that inspirational reel or that motivational TikTok, and there's that little bit of dopamine hit because you're like, yeah, that's the life I want to live. You have to be careful with that because that's kind of like a fake, that's like a fake form of action because your mind goes into that place of like, yeah, I'm going to do that. Or, yeah, that makes me feel this way. And now, because your mind doesn't really know the difference between imagination and reality, you have to be careful because your mind will interpret that as you taking action when you're not.
The subconscious.
Yeah. So what will happen is when people scroll and do things like this, it makes them feel good. So they keep scrolling. And next thing you know, it's 2 hours later and you haven't got shit done, even though you feel good. That's going to come down and you're going to crash from that. That's like a sugar high or, something of that nature. So what I started doing with that was I started following specific creators, but then I would go into a deeper journey. So just an example, one of the people that I started following pretty hardcore was Michael Smoke from Higher Up Wellness. So what I did was I thought, okay, I want to, I've definitely hit my target weight. I've gotten down, I was in that, that 20%, 22% body fat range for a pretty good while. But I'm like, no, no, I want more than this. So following him, he would provide a lot of good value on his TikToks and some inspirational, motivational stuff as well. But at the same time, I'm like, I need to get off platform. So what I did with him was I actually joined one of his monthly memberships in a very structured way that was off platform. So it wasn't social media. So what I did was I joined that, structured that, and this was in January of this year. No, it wasn't a New Year's resolution. It was just the time that I had to do it. um, so what I did was I joined that and I'm like, okay, I want to get down to about 15% body fat and start building muscle. And so currently, and have been since probably April, this being the end of May, at least the last month or so, I am at that body fat percentage. I have, this is focusing on the moment of now, mind you. Okay. Not to lose point. But just in the last 5 months, I'm in about that 178 to 180 range. I'm building muscle. I'm at that 15% body fat. I actually have ab definition that I've never had even when I was young and skinny, and blurry, apparently. I don't know. Anyway, talk with my hands. Hello. Yeah, let me lean back. Use that works. I don't know. Okay, camera shit. Anyway,
It
on a whole
happens to
little
me.
rant.
Actually, it happened to me the other day. It's not happened to me when I'm on call with you, but it happened to me the other day, and I was like, "Oh, this is a Daniel move."
I know. I'm very yeah. I'm talking with my hands. I'm a very movement oriented person. I talk with my expressions and movements and all this. Anyway, um, but now currently I am at 15% body fat, and you know that's definitely being generous. Okay, you know it could be lower, but I don't think it's much higher. I'll say that pretty confidently. And I've used the mind to get there. Now I feel good there, and I feel confident there, and it's been an amazing journey. I didn't even know it just happened one day. Is I kind of did that self assessment, and because there's ways you can figure out your body fat percentage and so forth, pictures and things like that. You all those kind of things. But anyway, and so like one day it was just I was like, holy shit, I met my target. I didn't start here. One day it was just like I just started I had this moment of like, it's like the light switch just went on. I was like, I'm here. Like, I have hit this goal. I am here. I am building muscle. I have muscle definition, and just, you can see some of the muscle fibers and things like that. But it's like, I'm like, holy shit, I feel good. I feel amazing. I mean, I'm confident. It's nice. Like, I'm like, I'm here. It was just that one
He
day.
has arrived.
I mean, right. It was just that one day. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm here. Like, what's next? Because like all of a sudden I was just like, damn it. I didn't, I was so focused on that moment of now, and kind of taking a step back and assessing where I've come from and where I'm at. I'm like, I just one day I was just like, hell, I'm just here, and it wasn't even like a difficult process. I've enjoyed the process, and now I've set even a lower goal of body fat percentage, and currently working on that, and but so with that, I'll go to the kind of other side of this with this story. Well, before I go to you, is anything you want to interject there? Because
Yeah, like I have this whole thing that's coming to me about the concept of time, right? Like, do you ever think about when you're lost in something happy, how time feels non-existent? Like when putting a client into trance, you ask them most of the time, how long do you think that was? I have no idea. Or they'll say, I don't know, it felt like 5 minutes. It could be 35 to 40
20,
minutes.
yeah.
Yeah, like it can be a long amount of time, but they were so peaceful. They were so content. They were so lost in their moment that literally time didn't exist. When you are going through the reels, why do you think time goes by so quick? Time doesn't change. It's our perception of time, it's time distortion. But when you're not happy, when you're miserable and you're suffering, time goes so slow. That's where that confusion can come in for how long is a year? Is a year long or is it short? I mean,
Well, the answer is
here,
yes,
yeah, all full circle.
because
And it's really
show
in your
representation.
perception. Yeah. And that's where it's like being present in the moment truly is the gift. Because what if you don't even think about time? What if you think about, and this is something I personally have been reflecting on a lot in the last like month or two. What if you just let go of, I mean, obviously we have responsibilities, right? We have timelines, with when to be to work for most people and things like that. Like I have to show up for my clients. But overall in life, what if you just freaking let go of time? What if you just embrace the journey of life and get lost in life? And where's life going to take you? And then be present in those moments, like your stories that you're sharing. I mean, it's like a blink of an eye. Like I'm in my 8th year of my business. But then I think also it's perception. I can't remember not doing this. So then it feels like forever. But wait, I started my business from the ground up. I created it. I named it. I purchased everything in my business. And here I am 8 years later. Wow. I created this. When the fuck did that happen? Like, honestly, if I think about it, I did. There's this one part of me that says, I didn't know I had it in me. And then there's this other part of me like, fuck yeah, I have it in me because I'm a determined person and I'm going to make shit happen. Whether it's a success in my life or whether it's really doing everything I can to lead my clients into that success. So t- time, we get so wrapped up in it. And now in this day and age, everything is zooming in so fast. But what if it's not? When we're in a rush and we're in a hurry because we need to get here and we're late for this and we're late for that, are we actually moving any faster? I bet our mind is what's moving faster. Everything in our body is moving faster. But the truth is, nothing else is. it's the perception. So I've also played with this. Pause. What if you find that calm within, even if you're running late? Nothing is going to be that much quicker, and go with the flow of life. Be like, yeah, I made the choices I made. Now I'm running late. I'm doing the best I can, but speeding up everything in your internal system is not going to help. Being present in the moment is going to help you reach your goals. It's going to help you efficiently and more safely get to where you need to go, all the things. Time is really interesting when you dive deep into it. Super interesting. I want to know your flip side, where you are going.
Well, as you were talking about all this stuff, and I'm just kind of reflecting on this myself, and that is,
He's got his thinking cap on.
well, I because and it's look, it's so many facets to this that we just can't dive into all this today. But it's something I was just noticing is like when you know how to control, and I don't mean this like in a negative way, but when you know how to control and run your own mind, which is what hypnosis and NLP has taught me. When you can do with intention what you've done by intuition, you can achieve like acceleration in any area. Anything can feel effortless when you learn to do with intention what you've done by intuition. And what I mean by that is, for instance, like you said about the scrolling. You're scrolling on there because because it feels good. Because you're seeing things that kind of feel good to you, light you up, all those kind of things. But you're almost doing that instinctively instead of because like you said it, time distortion, right? You get lost in it. But if you can take that concept, that same concept of getting lost in time and doing what you enjoy, and apply that to taking action again, just as a point of reference, not to, but this is passionate for me. So like for me, look, working out, strength training the way I do is not an easy process. Okay. It's hard and it hurts and it depletes energy and you have to push yourself. But I've learned with hypnosis and NLP and things like this how to distort time when I'm working out so that it becomes almost effortless and not something that I dread or not something that I think about how hard it is. But I've learned to take that and use it intentionally, time distortion, and just those almost increasing that because here's the thing about strength training, and this is researched and been proven. Strength training, lifting weights, building muscle, releases endorphins, releases serotonin, dopamine, all the feel good chemicals. Um, it actually encourages neuroplasticity, which is something you talked about at the beginning. This, this is why I'm, such a big advocate for people, doing some type of strength training because it's not just about, oh, I'm going to build muscle and look good. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, heck yeah. I mean, like I like the way I look. I like the body I've built. It means something to me. But it does more than that to your chemical makeup. It does that more to that in your mind. It
Motion changes emotion.
100% it does because all emotion is energy and motion. And so when you can do that
To people
intentionally,
on the outside, that probably just sounded really fucking confusing. Sorry, I had to say that because I was like, dang, if I was listening to this podcast right now, I'd be like, wait, rewind. I need to hear that again.
But it's true. Like it's very much true. Like your emotion is energy in motion. It's
Yes.
why it's why you cry or you get mad and scream or whatever the case may be. You feel happy inside, so you laugh, right? It's energy producing motion. Working out is doing that intentionally. Working out basically tells your mind we can do hard shit and be okay. Now, I've used hypnosis because I've done this on the treadmill so many times. I do my now. Listen, I'm not recommending this to anybody because
Yeah, don't do it.
that you would say
Daniel can
don't
do
do it.
it.
I'm
I don't
saying
recommend it.
that I developed this myself. Waking hypnosis. It's people do it all the time. You're walking around in trance anyway right now as you're listening to this. But well, that. But anyway, so on the treadmill, I'll be on the treadmill, light jog, doing my cardio, getting my steps in. I'll start doing hypnosis, focusing on a spot. I do the whole process for myself. I never close my eyes. I do waking hypnosis, give myself certain suggestions and things like this. But I've gone so deep into that where time distortion is so real for me. I will look down thinking I've been on the treadmill 10 minutes and I'm already 30-minute, 40-minute mark. No shit. I'm like,
I believe you
what?
because to be honest with you, I've tried this because we've talked about it so many times. I've tried it. And it's that you have to be comfortable. You have to be confident and comfortable in that time space. I'm not there yet. Not while I'm in motion. Relaxed in a safe sitting position, I'm perfect. But in motion, all of a sudden I'm like, what just happened? Where am I and what is going on? And I freak out. I panic a little bit like, but it's probably because I have head trauma. I have a TBI, right?
Right.
Traumatic brain injury. And I have this huge fear of falling. So for me, that probably plays into it. So
Well, but and that's and again, I'm not saying again, like you said, I'm not suggesting to do this, but I'm just saying if you can, I would definitely try it in a safe environment. Even because like when I first started doing this, I actually just started walking first, just like walking on the treadmill. I didn't just like go full on jogging and just start doing this kind of thing. I tested it out, and the beautiful thing about hypnosis is that waking hypnosis is a real thing.
for sure.
You can have people even in the formal hypnosis setting where we're like, hey, let your eyes close on down, or imagine this, that, and the other. You can tell them. It's called fractionation. This is where Dave Ellman came up with the Ellman induction. um you can have people open their eyes, talk to you in hypnosis. It's not a
I
problem.
can't, I can't tell you how many times I've had a client when we connect, they're like, the second I hear your voice, I'm like, even though they're awake and talking to me, the second they hear my voice, they're gone.
Well, that's called an anchor because you
There's
because
there's so
yeah.
many times I'll be like, just don't speak yet. I just have to tell you this before you speak because the minute I hear your voice, blah blah blah. It's
Yeah,
funny.
and it's because they've anchored their mind has anchored
Yeah.
your voice to trance and hypnosis because that's what the mind does. But
Yeah.
anyway, like I'm trying to stay on point here.
That's true. We need
I know.
standpoint.
I mean, yeah, because we'll be all over the place. But yeah, so I've done that. And even in my strength training, even though I count the reps and the weights and stuff like that right there, I know how to focus and hone in internally to where pushing myself does not seem that hard. And, as a result of that, I'm 48 years old. I'm still currently a truck driver. I sit down 12 hours a day pretty much, 5 days a week, 60 hours a week. Okay. And I want you to understand something. I've used the intentionality of how to run my mind to be at like 180 pounds, 15% body fat. That is no small feat. Now, I've used some other hypnosis techniques that I won't particularly talk about here, but um, but to make this a lot more effortless. And then, so I do want to rewind, going back even further over a year, because something, see, this happened again just earlier at the beginning of this month. I was on a group call with another hypnotist, and he was taking us through this process of um uh, of like, it was specifically, the topic was around putting yourself out there on social media, and being consistent with posting social media, which is not something I've always been good at, right? So I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things I've struggled with, and he was hitting some of these big things that he has, because he's got a monster of social media following as a hypnotist, and it's just awesome to see. So obviously I'm going to pay attention to what he says. So he asked about these five big areas, and all five of them I've struggled with at some point in time, especially over this last year. One of them was about self-worth, about fear of not being good enough, fear of success, fear of failure. There was again five of them. And you go with your first unconscious answer. Now I went into this fully expecting, this is the weirdest thing. Consciously, I was expecting, okay, I'm going to at least have a yes, because he went through what they were first before he kind of got into that trance, like that light trance, and asked the questions. And then you go with the first thing, kind of, hey, are you struggling with fear of failure or low self worth? And then you go with that first unconscious answer. That's kind of how you assess. So as he was asking these questions, in talking about the five big parts, the five big issues people have that keeps them from consistency, especially putting yourself out there on social media. Um, I was like, okay, there's at least three of these, and I know I'm going to have a yes to. That's what I was thinking consciously. But again, I understand the process, so I'm like, I'm going to suspend that assumption, and just go into this with no judgment and just curiosity. So he started diving into these. Well, when he started diving, he started asking the questions. We kind of got into this light trance, and he started asking the questions. Well, no, no, no. And there was only one yes. And I'll be real with you guys. It was a fear of judgment / rejection. But the other four was a no. Wasn't in, just a definite, immediate no. And I kind of had a moment of like arguing with my arguing with my subconscious response, right? Me basically arguing with myself of like, no, 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 this has to be an issue. Like self-worth has always been a big issue for me. And I'm like, no, 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 this has to be an issue. It can't be. It can't be. I can't have overcome this already. And I was like, but it just kept coming. It kept coming up. No, I'm like, shit, I have to trust this. And so at the end of that call, I get off the call, and I'm driving, to be honest with you, and because I had been stopped. I will say that I had been stopped. I stopped at a truck stop to do this process, and then when I start driving again after the call was over, I had this whole moment, this whole emotional moment, to where I am just emphatically overwhelmed with excitement and just like, good God, I can't believe this is happening. Because, a year ago, man, I was hammering on some of these things, like the fear of failure and success, and specifically the self worth. I've been hammering on those specific ones for a while, doing self hypnosis, things like that, some NLP techniques, stuff like that. And kind of like the whole thing with getting down to that goal target weight and body fat percentage. And I was like, holy shit, I'm here. like, what do I do now? I mean, obviously I've gone after the fear of judgment and rejection, definitely hitting that hard, and pushing through some of those things. But anyway, but it was like, I'm here. my goal has been to overcome these specific areas of like low self-worth and fear of failure and success. And it was like that self-assessment moment was like, dear God, I'm here. you know, so looking back a year, I was still struggling with some of those things. And then after that call at the first of May, I was like, man, I can't believe this. Like, this is crazy. like, and just focusing on the moment of now. And even that, and again, you asked that question, what did it feel like, a lifetime or was it over in a blink? Hell, I don't know. I I honestly don't know, because I just, one day it was like taking that self-assessment of where I am versus, where I've come from, and looking at the goal and not get so focused on that. But it was just like, I'm here. I've arrived.
Well, it's often everyone wants to skip the journey and just reach the goal. And it's in the journey where all the beautiful things happen. So I think it's important, and like you also said, it's important to be in the moment all the time, right? It is like it's so important. But you said before, oh, I'm losing it. Something about self-reflection. I think it's really important to go back and self-reflect. And a lot of times what can happen is we think we're strong in one area, but then when we connect with something that can make us dig deeper, it there might be something lacking. Because to be honest, like yesterday, very connected with Lori Hammond. So yesterday I was in her Transy Tuesdays class, and there was a guest speaker in there, and she was fabulous. And she had us go into, we did these different techniques and we did our hypnosis script. And in there, she had us working with dials in this hypnosis script. And the first dial was, what is your self trust? Like, I trust myself. Like, I trust myself so much, but my dial out of 1 to 10 only went to 4. And I was like, what? This is wrong. This is not right. Like, I was like so frustrated. I'm like, I trust myself more than a 4. And then she's like, well, turn it up, turn it up. And so, I turned it up. I think I got it to an 8. But so now I haven't really made the time, but I'm going to go back and reflect on where am I lacking this self-trust? These things are important because in these moments, these are the things we need to do to reach our goals, is to have that self-awareness and be real with ourselves. I I mean, obviously I do trust myself, but there is a section where it's lacking. So I need to go through that. But then there was like two more, and I'm not sure what they were, but with each one, I think I ended up with a 6, and then the very last one was like a 10. I don't remember what that one was either, but you know, there you don't need a full plan. There's this beautiful journey waiting for you, whatever your goal is. Like, it was baby steps creating this business, serious baby steps. If I would have known every hurdle I was going to have to jump through, and oftentimes still I'm jumping through because I'm constantly pushing myself to learn, I would have hiked out a long time ago, to be honest with you. I want to be here to help people. I don't want to market. And the truth is, marketing is a huge part of having your own business. You have to know how to market. Well, I didn't they briefly touched on it in college, but they never said, "Hey, you're really going to have to hardcore market if you want your business to thrive." Like, yeah, no, no, thank you. I mean, now I enjoy it because I love the connections. I love reaching out to people and things like that. But it was definitely baby steps in learning, and I'll never stop learning. I'll never stop growing. I won't do it. So it really just embracing every little moment of self growth that you can. Because when that year goes by, or the 5 years, or in my case, like the 8 years reflecting back on my business, holy shit. What a wild ride in the most beautiful, crazy, satisfying, surprising way possible. Every emotion is in there, from tears to complete bliss and joy to I'm fucking quitting this shit because I don't want to market. I just want to help people to, oh my God, I'm so happy I didn't quit. Like, this is the best thing I could have ever done in my life. Like, it's crazy. And I wouldn't change a minute of it because the truth is, it's really built the precious value of what I've created. If you're creating something and it's really a breeze, it's super easy, how much value are you going to really hold in that? Because, like, I'm not saying there's no value to it, but there's so much to be said about the trials and the triumphs that kind of connect and go together. And yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. But you know what? Honestly, if I would have looked from the beginning to where I'm at now, complete overwhelm, complete paralysis. Oh hell no, I'm out. I'll find something else to do. And it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened.
I'll say this really quick to something you just said. Don't confuse simplicity with easy.
Oh yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, you can definitely make things simple, but it's not always going to be easy. You know,
Right.
I mean, again, like I was saying, working out, building the body that I want, is being a truck driver, sitting down as a truck driver for 60 hours a week. Um, and creating the body that I wanted was not easy, but I did make it simple, which made it easier to be doable. And again, when you learn how the mind works and how to be intentional, you can make things a lot more simple, which will make it a lot more doable. So it can be easier, but it's not going to be easy, right? You know, and and with any of this, just like what I was referring to about the five big areas that this hypnotist was talking about, and my unconscious mind saying no to four out of the five was just incredible for me, and understanding that I've learned how to make this process simple, not easy, but simple. And so, again, like I was saying earlier, and I agree with you, by the way. My goal is not easy. My I don't want easy.
Hmm.
Easy is not what I'm looking for. I don't mind challenging. I don't even mind hard. What I don't like is complicated.
That's a really good way to put it. Thank you. I even appreciate that comment. Well, I appreciate a lot of things you say, but that one just hit me right now really hard.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stand complicated.
Yeah.
I don't mind hard. The two are not the same.
Yeah. The challenge is really rewarding.
The challenge is very rewarding. The challenge of building the body that I want, the challenge of overcoming the low sense of self-worth. Like that right there, something that I struggle with for 45 years of my life, you know, the better part of it. Um,
I
that definitely was not always easy. But using hypnosis and some of these mindset techniques, I have definitely made all these things simple. I've streamlined the process in myself to take something that, yes, at times is hard. It's hard as hell at times, but it's doable because I've made it simple. And your mind doesn't crave necessarily easy. Your mind craves simplicity because it's efficient. Your mind is an efficient machine. It is looking for the um, uh, not even the path of least resistance, but the path of point A to point B. It's that saying that between the quickest way between 2 points is a straight line, right? It's kind of, the common thought pattern there. And your mind craves that. So when you simplify the process, the hard stuff becomes really, really doable.
I will say the difference between men and women, though, is how we get there is different because the way that men process things versus the way that women process things, what's simple to one side is not always simple to the other. So it's also important to keep that in mind. But with talking about the challenges and things like that and the rewards of challenges, I'm curious if nothing changed in your life for a year, how would that feel? If you had the same patterns, the same lifestyle, the same habits,
Struggling with the same
if you
shit.
have if you have like the same excuses, like how would you feel 1 year from now if you were still living the same way you are now? Would you be okay with that? I mean,
And really,
yeah.
really, not just don't give a half-assed answer right now. If you're listening to this, I don't, don't just give this willy-nilly, oh yeah, sure, why not? No, I mean really.
Yeah. A lot of times when we hear reflective questions like that, and I have been guilty of this, I've really worked on this myself. We hear the same questions, we hear the same comments, and we just fluff it off. I really invite you to really sit down and chew on this. If nothing in your life changed for the next year, call yourself out on your bullshit. Don't be ashamed. I mean, Danielle and I call ourselves out on bullshit right here in the podcast. I just did a little bit ago, realizing yesterday, obviously, my self trust is at a level 4. What the fuck? I thought I trusted myself way more than that. Here's the thing, I know I trust myself, but obviously, there's a part where it's lacking. So I'm going to face that and I'm going to work through it and figure out what the heck is going on. There's nothing wrong with facing your own lack, your own need for self improvement. That's why we're here. There's no
Right. I
shame
mean,
in any of that. None.
yeah, exactly. It's like I was not happy at being in that 20-22% body fat range. I was like, okay, this is no longer something that I want to be at. I don't, I've gotten to my target weight. And honestly, like my target was to get down to that 20% body fat range. But then I moved that, but then once I got there, I'm like, well, what's next? I'm a very, transformation in just about every area of my life is my highest core value. I mean, I'm just extremely, extremely addicted to transformation. I mean, I really am. It's just something I crave all the time. Growth and transformation; those two are just synonymous with me. Um, so it, it it's just that process of like, if you even if you've gotten to where you wanted to be, move the goalpost, as they say.
Yes. Honestly, I just had to say this. That's why I chose to start this business. There's no cap. With every momentum of growth I create for myself, once I reach that, I can create another thing of growth. I can in this business also allows me to pour into myself so that I can continuously work on me and who I am and improve myself. And that is just huge. It's huge.
It
I
is.
just I don't even have the words. Like if there's anything that you can take away from this podcast today, it's welcome yourself to use this as like a chance to pivot and make changes before another year goes by.
Right. And I'm gonna say it. If
Say
if
it.
you're complacent, if you look at your life and think, this is easy, but it's not exciting. Again, don't being easy is not always well, I'll be In my opinion, let me say it that way. In my opinion, an easy life is not a fulfilling life. If there's if there's no challenge, if there's nowhere in your area, no area in your life that you can look at and think, man, I don't know if I can do this. This is going to be hard. I mean, I would question myself. Let me say it this way. I would question myself, man, am I really doing what I want to do in life? But yeah, again,
I notice,
don't mistake
go ahead.
simplicity for easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I notice is if I don't feel like I am pushing myself to level up, at least on some level, I I tend to do it too hard on myself. So I do have to back down sometimes. But if I come to this stagnant place in life, I'm slipping into a depression. I'm slipping into this slippery slope of not feeling right, feeling pretty low. And then I always think to myself, okay, Jamie, I think you need to level something up. What's it going to be? I
Yeah,
mean, I
challenge yourself.
that's just how I work. So
Yeah, set the goal, right? Set the goal again, like I said, for me, 15% body fat, just whatever, and whatever that is, whatever that goal is for you. Set the goal and then leave it there. Go there. This is what I think it would look like, feel like, sound like. For me, I imagine what myself would look like at 15% body fat. I did. And then I started in the moment of now. I came back to the moment of now and I stayed there. And I started making decisions every moment of now. I made a decision towards that goal that I set. I didn't, stay in the goal. I didn't stay in the imagination of what it would look like when I get there. I came back to the moment of now and like, okay, I'm not there. But this is a decision I'm going to make right now that will get me there. Whether it was,
I
for me,
think
it was meal prep, it was, you know, a specific workout, it was cardio, all that kind of thing. And I just took those one day at a time.
when you're in that too, make sure you're feeling the good feelings of that, understanding on some type of level that you are self-caring. You're taking self-care to reach that said goal in a year. Because when you tap the feelings into that, it's like giving yourself a reward and it helps you to keep going. That's where the universe hears you. That's where you're in alignment with what your soul purpose is and all that other stuff.
And I'll
So
say this, okay, really quick too, also, is that again, don't think of every decision you've got to make to get to the goal. Just think of the one decision you got to make right now that will help you get there. And the reason why I say that is because I didn't just think about all the time, okay, this is how many weeks I'm going to have to work out. This is how much cardio, how many, you know, how many, hundreds of thousands of steps I'm going to have to put in of cardio and this and all. I didn't think about any of that. I just took it one decision at a time. And the reason why I say it is because it's like last week. Last week, I pretty much had like an 80, 85 hour work week because there are some things I'm transitioning even more in my life. It's more challenging, but I took on that challenge. So literally, I put in like 80 to 85 hours a week, a day. I mean, for the week last week. And I was probably averaged like 4.5 hours of sleep every day.
I don't know how
That's
you
not an
do
easy
that.
thing to do. Okay. It's not an easy thing to do. Now, during that time, I basically did no cardio, very little at all. I had a few little like 10-minute jogs here and there. Um, I think I worked out one time last week, once. And my eating was because I didn't have a whole lot of time to meal prep either. So my eating was not on point either. Like, I mean, usually I'm about 90% clean eater, like 90% of my calories coming from just clean, nutrient dense whole foods. Last week, it was probably 70% at best. Okay.
That's called life. It is called being
And
human. And you just get
well,
back on track.
yeah, exactly. Here's the thing is yes, I missed it, but I also didn't worry about it because I'm like, no, this is just a moment.
Mhm.
Because all this stuff that I did last week is onto something that's going to definitely shape the future of my life. But it was like I'm going to do the hard now for the goal later. And I didn't lose that much progress at all. Like my body fat percentage didn't go back to 20% or nothing else. I mean, I'm still again that 15-16% body fat range. I still feel good. I worked out this morning. I worked out the morning before that. I still feel good. I still feel fine. And I'm still doing fine. And I've gone back to eating clean this week. And it's because
It's
setting
just,
that goal and then leaving it there and then living in the moment of now and hitting these goals for me. I don't know who said it, but it was basically like confidence is you building a stack of undeniable proof that says you are who you say you are. And I use self hypnosis to take on that identity of a jogger, of a strength trainer, of a clean eater. And I have the body to show for it. Of a, I even took on the identity of like being obsessed about my personal growth. And now I have a stack of undeniable proof for that as well. And the fact that, I've overcome the self-worth issues. I've overcome the fear of failure, the fear of success. I've overcome so many different things. I'm like, okay, I've got this stack of undeniable proof that says I am who I say I am. I'm going to tell you right now, that has absolutely blasted my confidence through the roof about doing new things. And it's like a snowball effect. You start that journey and you start getting that stack of undeniable proof. The more it grows, the more your confidence, the more your boldness, the more your just all that courage, everything, all that just continues to grow. So, again, wrapping up is looking at yourself a year from now. Do you want to be in the same place? I mean, really? Do you?
and just, I invite you to remember that in a recap, it's like journaling, mindfulness, or learning something new, your brain will rewire itself. In 1 year, people can significantly reduce anxiety, improve memory, and boost cognitive flexibility. And that's from Harvard Medical School. And automatic habits compound like interest. Like if you just improve 1% every day, you're 37 times better after a year. Small, repeatable behaviors can dramatically alter your health, your mindset, and productivity. So, 1 year from now, will you look back at this moment and maybe you'll remember something that we said? Maybe it's the day you chose different. Maybe you'll feel proud of how far you've come or wish you'd taken that first step. It's kind of the ball's in your court. So, in the grand scheme of life, a year is just a baby step, but baby steps taken consistently move mountains. So, remember, you do not have to do it all. You just have to start because a year from now, everything could be different again. And this time it could be exactly what you were hoping for.
Yeah,
So,
100%. And just a quick thing here is that, yeah, I'll just say it. If you're looking for help with that, I know me and Jamie both can definitely help with that.
1
Can
million
definitely
percent. I
help
hope
with just that place of if you're struggling with that idea of like shit, I don't want my life to look like this a year from now. I don't like it. It's okay to say that. I have said it many times. Um, yeah, reach out.
I have seen so many transformations in beautiful humans that felt like there was no hope. And after one session, 1 2 hour session, they felt so much hope. They were excited to continue on. And it's such a blessing that I get to help people for a living, and I can't even tell you how much it means to my heart. People reach out to me, we build rapport, and the trust is there. And if it's not a good fit, I honor that too, because not everyone is a good fit for each other, but most people I connect with very easily and hold safe space. And just watching people fly, it's so beautiful. So yeah, reach out if you need. Daniel or I are willing to work with you. And if one of us feels like we're not a good fit, it's happened before, and we'll just see if the other one's a good fit, and
Yeah,
it always works out. So
pass it off.
yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, thank you for spending your precious time with us today. We hope that you found a lot of good reflections in this, and just remember to be kind to yourself and be kind to others, because you really don't know what they're all going through. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks for listening.